nice. Room looks nice. Got good people in here. We might as well just jump and get started because there's a lot of value. Great. I'm so looking forward to this convo, and I've been getting DMs all week of people looking forward to this. So, pretty much going to jump right in. Um, so, let me just, for those, some people, if this is your first time here, let me just let you know where you are. This is Control Camp. It is a sync education community. So by sync, I mean sync licensing, which involves placing music in TV, ads, games, etc. So in this space, you're going to meet the composers, songwriters, supervisors, executives who operate in this field. You can get your questions answered. You can get your music heard. You can join our mailing list at controlcamp.com to stay informed. It's the first link in the link tree at the top of the page. We'll put you on our mailing list. I am your host, Eric Campbell. I've been writing music for Sync for over a decade. I have music in lots of TV shows. I've worked on set for major TV productions. I've written songs for actors and celebrities, and I've placed music for other people on television, and you can see my bio and my profile. So I really appreciate everyone being here, and I hope you find that we are definitely worth your time. So we're here every Wednesday, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. Today, this room is about indie artists who are getting major streams from TV placements. And I'm going to say from the jump, we're going to have the speakers give brief introductions of themselves. And throughout the night, we're going to learn a lot more about each of them. But I'm going to say from the jump that what inspired me to even do this room. So Tamara Bubble's on stage, and she released a book recently called From Sync to Superstar, and I read that book in like 2 days. I mean, I read a lot of books, but I'm usually not a fast reader. But I just read that like straight through, and it was really insightful. Related a lot to the story, especially about trying kind of different avenues, and then realizing that you know sync had so many more benefits than some of the other avenues we may have been knocking our head against. And so I just related to that so much. And some of the things that she pointed out in the book just highlighted about how powerful sync was for independent focusing on their career. And it also um, highlighted, it co-signed some of the stuff Deraj has shared as an artist in the past about just how his syncs have actually built his community. Psychosis has shared some things in the past. And so I really just all led to like, we need to have this as a room. I've been talking about this in some of my other spaces, and indie artists are definitely curious about, for some of them, it's just what is sync, and others, it's, how do you leverage this for building a fan base, for getting streams and all that. So that's what we're going to really dive into today. I'm going to go through some questions. We're going to get to know our guests. If you have questions in the audience, we're going to take time. You will have time to raise your hands and come up and ask. Back channel me questions. So if you send questions, or if you hear stuff and it sparks a question, you can definitely send that. All right, so we're going to jump into it this way. Let's do, so by means of introducing some of the artists, every single artist here has been in this room at least once, but we get a lot of new people, so we want to do a proper introduction. But I kind of wanted to do a brief one at the very beginning, and then through the questions, they're going to get to know everybody, and they're going to get to know your stories um, a whole lot more. So what I want to know from the very beginning, we've got Cali Jay here, we've got Psychosis, we've got Deraj, we've got Tamara Bubble. I want to start at just let us know for each of you, your name as an artist, if you focus on a particular genre, and then simply let us know just for this, if you could kind of give an estimate what you think, how many streams you've had this year. Let's just start with that in an introduction. Whether you want to focus on a song or just collectively, give the room an idea of just where you are in terms of your streaming and who you are and kind of your genre. Let's start with Callie.
Hey guys, so I am Cali Jay. I'm a sync writer and I focus on more advertising, but I also double over into film and TV. My main genre is predominantly pop with a little bit of hip hop mixed in there. And I guess for the year so far, collectively from my sync streams, I think I'm up to a little over 400,000 streams purely from sync placements.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. And Psychosis can go next.
Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Psychosis. I'm a hip hop artist from Chicago. Dibble and dabble in primarily in hip hop, but a little R&B, a little pop, a little EDM, stuff like that now and then. And as it relates to sync, I would estimate just off numbers probably about 800,000 streams this year off sync.
Awesome, awesome. And Deraj, who also is a co-founder of Control Camp, for any of the new people who are here and don't know. Um, Deraj.
What's up, man? Yeah, I'm Deraj, independent hip hop artist. I'm based out of Orlando, Florida. Yeah, my main jam is in hip hop. I have a couple different artist aliases, but hip hop is kind of my specialty. My goal is to kind of help other independent artists, get their music and TV and film as well, because it's really been transformative for my career. But as far as streams, I know my Spotify, the highlight thing that they do every year was 1.7 million, and I think probably like a good majority came from sync licensing, but um, my background is I was actually signed to a label as well, so I probably have some lingering streams from that. But we'll get a little bit more in detail. I have some more concrete numbers from some specific syncs that I know, or excuse me, specific songs that garnered streaming directly off of placement.
Awesome, awesome. And last but not least, Tamara Bubble.
Hey, everyone, Bubble on deck. I am a rapper, singer, songwriter, book author, sync winner. Yo, I do every genre I feel like except for metal and country, and I'm trying to win in all of it. Streams this year, I actually haven't even looked at the rap thing, so I don't know the number, but I'm pretty sure it's definitely over 500,000. I don't know if it's a million, but it's definitely 500,000 this year. Um, and the year's not up yet,
Real talk.
so let's
Very
go.
dope, very dope. So glad to have you all here. You don't know how many people are just wondering. I did a TikTok this week just saying, kind of like, yo, you need to know that like you can get like major streams just from like sync placements. Kind of taking some of the things which we'll get into tomorrow in your book. Just when you were talking about some of the things that are a little more difficult, and then some of the fields that like definitely win for you. And so I was talking about that, and some of the comments. I've done two different TikToks like that, and each one, somebody's in the comments like, "Yo, you're selling dreams. Why are you trying to, make it seem like you can get this just from sync placements?" And
Who said
so,
that? Who said that? I'm about to
Them
black
doubters.
hoodie
That's
up.
why they don't win. They doubting their success. But
exactly.
I'm about to
anyway,
black hoodie up, man. What's up?
So we
like you know what? Stop spending. I'm gonna just say it for real. Stop spending money on promo. You an indie artist out here. Stop spending money on promo. The sync placements can literally take you to the top for free, and not even for free because they're gonna pay you on the way up. Like that's what we talking about tonight. Let's
there
go.
we let's do this.
Hey, listen. Hey, Eric, the doors of the church is
Right. I'm
open.
like, should we even continue? Should we just wrap up right now? Like that was the bottom line. Like what are we doing? This is so all right, let's let the people fully know who you are. All right. I wanna go back a little bit for each of you. Let's go back before you were even in sync. All right. Let's talk about give us I'm gonna talk to each of you, and I'm gonna give us a little bit, maybe like just a few minutes of what your career looked like before you really knew about sync. What was in it? What did it mean for you to be an independent artist? What were you mainly doing, and then how was it working for you or not working? What was the frustration? Let's jump in with psychosis. I know you for you as a independent hip hop artist in Chicago, was there a time before sync, and then what was that like, and what were you doing?
Yeah, it was called Chief Keef. Um, at the time, I'm 37, so I want to just say this. Another really big reason why sync is so important is because some of the things that we worry about as artists can become a non-factor when sync. Like ageism is a huge thing in hip hop, right? But as an artist writing for radio versus writing for sync, nobody cares how old I am. I'm just delivering. So before I got into sync, I started as I told y'all earlier when we started. I went to high school with Lupe Fiasco, and I went to Thornton High School. Y'all can look it up. I went to high school with a lot of super talented music people, and we was battle rapping in the lunchroom every day, and we were trying to be, just we were really into the underground scene, and we did all of the traditional things that we thought we should do then. You make mixtapes, you get the T-shirts, you try to get a street team, you try to do the shows and the talent shows, and you try to get your name out there. You try to get in competitions with the local radio. But I found I was really naive slash unprepared for the fact that the actual music industry as we knew it had very little to do with the music. It had more to do with relationships, had more to do with budget, had more to do with affiliations with a label and a record label or things of that nature. And I just really couldn't compete. Like talent, I tried to get better at my craft, and I worked on my craft forever. And I would run into so many roadblocks where people are like, yo, I love this, but who else is playing it? Or, yo, this is dope. What's your budget? And I couldn't really like break past that barrier. And then when I got my first sync placement, the conversation wasn't about how many views or followers I had or what my budget was or what other DJs was breaking my music first. The conversation was, can you sign this to me? Is it one stop? Can you get this to me by tomorrow? That's all I need to know. Is any of the co-writers, and let's go. And here's the check. We'll make sure the accountant takes care of it. And it was like, what? I literally thought I was being prank called because it was the complete opposite experience of everything that I had seen prior to that, trying to be a traditional hip hop artist. Or as some other people, I learned from Deraj the concept of like the front facing artist. I'm still a front facing artist today. I still put out music for fans. But now when I'm putting out the music for fans, I'm not really tripping off of like how much it's embraced by them up front. Because I know when this music gets in their favorite TV show, a video game, a movie that they know, they're gonna come back and Shazam it and find it. So Sync is just really revolutionary.
Love all of that. That was dope. Okay, Callie, what's your story? I know I've only known you as a sync artist for the years that I've known you, but was there a before? And
Um, there definitely wasn't much of a before, wasn't much going on. I had actually gigged for a living in Atlanta for 7 years. So I was doing like 150 shows a year, 4-hour gigs, cover gigs at bars and restaurants and stuff. And I was releasing some music on the side, but I'm completely independent. Really didn't know what I was doing at that point. So definitely wasn't getting any traction or anything. And then I was in college and I got an internship at a music licensing library, and that's what kind of exposed me to the world of sync. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So that's when I graduated, I dove headfirst into sync, and it's been amazing seeing not only sync as an awesome way to support yourself as a writer and an artist, but to also see that you can develop platforms and gain fans and get streams from this music that you were really just trying to like get placed in a show or something. Like um it really does benefit you in like all areas as an artist, which is why I've just been so in love with sync ever since I got.
awesome, that is just really really cool. All right, Deraj, those a lot of us here know your story, but talk and you share about being signed, but catch people up. Tell them what was the before.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a real strong room. I love to see everybody is here. It's well. Before I get ahead of myself, my backstory. I'm not sure who else on the stage is kind of been signed with the label, but I kind of like accidentally got signed because I wasn't like one of them ones that was just hunting for a label deal or anything like that. Like my journey was very like it was one kind of connected to the creative outlet. On the other side, it was connected to ministry because during the time I gave my life to God, and it was around the time where I started to get more active in music. And so it was just kind of doing two things at once. It was a sense of community, and also it gave me permission to go out and just share my faith. And it wasn't anything more than that. But when I moved down to Orlando, Florida from Richmond, Virginia, where my hometown is, Started getting some more traction in the city. But after I graduated college, and I got my bachelor's in digital arts and design, I started doing some artwork for the label, like this Christian hip hop label. And then after I started, getting to know them a little bit more, doing more design work, they later found out that I did music. And then, that transitioned into me talking about getting signed and all sort of kind of stuff. And so during my time, with the label, it wasn't like a bad experience or anything. Like I love the label. I actually had they were very artist friendly, like very family oriented. But there was still, a part of it where I don't even know that the label kind of knew all of how to elevate me to that place because, even though, I would, go out, do shows, tour, and this is like, me being an artist part-time. Like I was never full-time. I had a 9 to 5 while I was still with the label, but I was just great. Like I had a fortunate enough to be able to still tour, and do stuff because my job was just, I had the flexibility there, which is rare. But like during that time, like gained some traction, gained some followers, did some numbers on Spotify and stuff like that. But I was still paycheck to paycheck. I was still, kind of depressed, with different stuff and just how things were going because it's like, man, I'm putting all this energy and all this, to all this music, and I feel like the stuff is dope, but it's just not really connecting, and it was tough to really make it viable and sustainable until sync. And I got my first sync when I was with the label. And I was actually the first artist that got a sync for the label. Was with ESPN back in like 2014, and that was the first time I got introduced to it. And that whole time I was trying to figure out how to do more and more of it. And it wasn't until I went fully indie, back in 2019, where I just prioritized it. I was only focusing on that. And it just clicked. And I was just like, where was this? You know what I mean? Like, why does nobody tell you about this side of the industry as an independent artist? Because it does so much at like one time. I mean, you can, like what Cali was saying, you can gain fans, you gain streams, you get paid, you get, marketing, like efforts, like what Tamara was saying. It's just, all of that is wrapped into this one thing, and it gives you so much control as an independent artist. So that's why it's like, we started what we started with control cams. Why, we have the, freebies we do, the quizzes and trainings and all that kind of stuff. Because this is something that I feel like every independent artist needs to add to their business strategy. You know what I mean? It's like if you're not doing sync, you're leaving a lot of money on it.
100. I love this. All right, Tamara, let's talk. Your book covers a lot of this, but for those who haven't dove into it yet, and I'm gonna keep talking about this because I really, really do appreciate your book. I appreciate that you've shared your story and you
Yeah.
shared it honestly and vulnerably, and just it's so informative, and I relate to it so much, and I just appreciate it. But let people know your before sync and what that was like for you.
Yeah, so music wise, I was a failure. Like I'm not even gonna sugarcoat. Like I was pursuing music and I was making it. I was not making it as far as success. I was making the music. I was performing. I was interviewing. Like I would do any blog talk radio. It'd be like 50 interviews. It'd be like 10 show. Like what? However much I could perform. However much I could interview. However much I could do promo. Like however much I could work and put money towards music, nothing would like move the needle like how I needed it to. And then on top of that, that was for the stuff that was legit. I was getting scammed like crazy. Like so much money went to nothing, and then it was messed up because so I'm a licensed CPA. I was making bread. Like it wasn't like I was struggling, especially when I was working in accounting. But it was more so like, yo, I don't even want to be at this job, and now I'm getting scammed, and so I got to keep working. So it was like double double negative. It was just I was down bad. I'll say that. I couldn't get the fan. I couldn't like it don't matter how much Facebook ads you run, while it's targeting, A/B testing, put money here, do this, do this, do this, do this. And like they still like they couldn't find you. The fans can't find you. They just the world's too big. You can't research, you can't test enough, you can't say your music sounds like this artist, let me put the money here. You just can't do it. Like you can't afford to do it, not as an indie artist. Um, you put the house up if you want to, you're gonna be hungry. Like, don't do it. What I'm trying to say is, I just did so bad. It forced me to learn the music business, and when I learned the music business, I found sync because I wanted to make money in music so that I could keep going. Like I didn't want to keep doing accounting, honestly. I wanted to make money from music. That's how I found sync, and that's how I like discovered. Once I learned the music business and I learned a little bit about sync, I discovered my plan because I actually never wanted to be signed to a label. I knew enough about the deals and stuff. Even what you would consider a good deal to me is like trash. And sync can like fund you like a label. Like the amount of money you can make is so crazy. The amount of money you can make and keep going and own the rights to your music and continue to license it like the same song. Sync is crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, I was down bad, and I found sync that way. And I just dove head in. Like I've only been in sync for like 3, maybe getting close to 4 years. But a little over 3 years, and it's been a complete 180. Sync will do everything for you as far as like funding your label, funding your lifestyle, and finding your fans for you for free. Like, yo, you could have a background placement like buried under the dirt. They can't even hear it because it's so much dialogue, and it could play for 2 seconds. And then because it's on a playlist for that show, the fans of the show gonna still listen to the whole playlist religiously, and you're gonna get streams like it was a featured placement, and then you're gonna get paid for that. And then you're gonna get money on the back end when it air. Like this is insane. What are we talking about? This is magic.
Passion in your voice is like you are a believer in what you're saying, and it's so powerful. Like, just for the room, like that's what I wanted to do is like you're listening to people who are not just talking theory, but they've like benefited and seen the benefits. And all of us have, you're hearing stories, all of us have spun our wheels. For me, it was trying to pick in Atlanta, trying to write for artists and trying to get artist placements and spending years every night in the studio demoing songs and referencing songs and shopping into this A&R and that A&R and trying to get a cut on somebody's record and finally coming around sync and being like, I could have been doing this the whole time. Like, why did like you hear so many people, if you're in a room, you hear people on the stage say over and over, why didn't anybody tell me? That's why Deraj and I wanted to even start Control Camp, because we all believe so fervently, like, dang, why am I just now finding out about this? Why am I finding out that this lane even exists? And so many of us, spend so much time just like not thinking major label is the only thing. Producing for a major label, being signed to a major label, being a writer, doing tracks, and not knowing that there's whole other industries, yeah, where people are creating music, getting paid for their music, and even in sync, it's not a single lane. Like everybody on the stage is operating in different things. And I want to focus on indie artists tonight. But if you've been in Control Camp, we talk about doing music for trailers. We talk about doing bespoke music as a composer. We talk about scoring for on set. Like there's so many lanes in this field. We're focusing on one thing tonight, though. For those of you who are true artists, you have a message and something that you want to put out to the world. There's this opportunity to be yourself, to put your art out and attract fans, generate funding, get marketing, all without having necessarily to do some of the other things that we think we have to do. So I want to know, just so I'm not misspeaking. I want to know what maybe some of you are doing some other things. So anybody on the stage, does anybody on the stage use as a part of your strategy like a PR company or do paid PR? Does anybody do that?
No.
Okay. Does anybody currently do like Submit Hub or other paid playlisting things? Because some of these things aren't bad. I just want to know truthfully what people are doing as part of their strategy. Anybody do paid playlisting, Submit Hub, anything like that?
I've tried Submit Hub
Be careful.
and I've tried Submit Hub. I've tried all of like I think Tamara really spoke for all of us what she was saying. I try all of those things, as well as like making business accounts to do digital marketing and try to put it in front of fans. And as she said, and as we all have said and will be saying, none of those things got close to what one sync placement did. For me, in terms of getting the music out, getting in front of the people, And I think one of the things for me specifically that really made it another level that I never thought about was once I got a sync, it let me know how much I could get syncs and where my syncs would be. So, like for example, a lot of my syncs were in like fitness, and I never ever thought about my music being like workout music until I'm started watching people place it next to like fitness. So it's like, oh, I didn't even think about this. So now I have a marketing strategy of when I make another song like this, I can pitch it for fitness. And also, Sync is international, so it's not just American TV shows and stuff we see here. It's all over the world. So for me, a big part of my fan base is in countries I've never even been to, and to them, I'm already famous. So it's like you get another level of like super fandom of people that might not be possible in your local market or even in your country.
Love it. Okay, and you said the Psychosis. I just want to just confirm. Anybody doing? I know Tamara you used to do Facebook ads. Actually, that's how I met you. I met you through some of your Facebook ads before the sync started. So I
Oh
first got
snap!
introduced
It
to you.
worked. Okay. Let me find out. I
I,
got one fan out of like $100,000. Let me
you
stop.
had one. Yep, you had one before that. Even before 6FS, I knew you from that. I was like, oh, so I remember her from the Facebook ads. Yeah, but anybody doing digital ads, is that a part of anybody's current strategy?
I did
No.
Instagram ads for a hot minute. I think I did it for like a year in either 2019 or 2020, but it's just ridiculous because you need to keep spending money on it. And if you ever shut it off for whatever reason, your engagement drops to like a third of what it actually is because the algorithm buries you because they know you're not spending money on ads anymore. So I don't know, like it can temporarily boost your numbers, but you either need to literally stick with it for the rest of your life, or I would recommend not starting it.
I kind of talk about this in the book too. Like I literally go through different marketing and promo tools and stuff that indie artists can use, and why I'm gonna move the needle like you need it to, even if it's legit. But the real problem, like even when you mention Submit Hub, like some of the stuff might not even be legit, and they might pull your song down. Like we're not trying to get songs taken down. We're trying to find fans out here. So, um, even if you go like some of the blogs and stuff on there, I'm not like taking shots at Submit Hub. We just on that subject. But some of the Instagram or TikTok viral influencers, all that stuff, you don't even know their followings. Like when they post your music in the background, so that nobody's paying attention. Half the people watch videos on mute. They don't hear you. Like indie artists, I think they have so much hope in these promo tools, and they feel like if I put money towards it, yo, it's gotta work or it need to work, or or they put these deadlines to when they need to make it, and that's why most of them quit because they don't realize like you can't put no time limit on it. And the good thing about sync is that there is no time limit. Like Psychosis said, like the age thing is out the window. Drop your album when you hit 80. Stop playing. Like it can still dead people right now getting paid for their music.
I'm
Like
getting some
you
static from you, Tamara.
can you hear me
Yeah, it's static. Something.
better now?
Maybe it was just me, but
I don't know. Can you hear me now?
yeah, that's much better.
Okay, I think my mic was buried. I was saying like you could drop an album when you 80. That age thing, what Psychosis said earlier is real. Like it don't matter. You can drop it when you 80. You can get placement. Dead people right now getting paid for their music. Songs people made 10 years ago. You got old songs, they will license that too. Like they got period pieces. They just have a need for all music being made. And I don't think indie artists really realize like how much of a focus sync needs to be.
Love this.
Put that promo to the side.
Push it to the side. And just to cover other gaps, so nobody here has a manager, and nobody. Deraj was signed to a label before, but nobody is involved in a label deal. Nobody has any management or anything like that now. Correct.
Nope.
I have a manager. His name is Eric Roberts,
Wait,
which is
who's Eric
which is my
Roberts?
which is
Oh, that's your
ex-
name. I was like, hold up.
exactly. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, yeah, that's one of those things. Like, you still do need a team, but it's I know we can't emphasize it enough. I mean, for the traditional artists who just really think about being an artist. A lot of people in this room are sync and they know what sync is, but a lot of people are just learning about it for the first time. And we've all been kind of given the same game, right? of how to get your name hot and how to get a mixtape out or how to get a feature placement or how to get on the radio. Like we got all this same game, which is why so many people sign such bad record deals because we all fail from it. Like it's all like an impossible rat race. And then Sync comes in and it's like, hey, this song is good. Can you license it? And in the conversation, like it's just such a it's literally like a whole nother music industry within the music industry. And it's nothing like what any of us had saw because everything I saw before this, it was like it's just normal. Hey, pay the DJ $3,000. They might play you on Sunday night at 10 p.m. and then you be the hottest in the city at 10 p.m. for your friends to listen. Or buy 50 tickets to open up for a little baby and sell. If you sell 50 tickets, you get to keep 50% of it. Like we came all these like Ponzi schemes we thought was the way you get on, and none of them, hold anything.
Dope. I just so many gems. This is just perfect. Okay, so all right. So now that well, before I get off this, I do want to go back to you, Tamara, because in your book you did talk about like all these things that are either scams or even if they are, legit, they're not necessarily effective. And then you highlighted two things that if you only focused on two things. Do you want to break that part down? Because I thought that was really in.
Yeah, so I think as an indie artist, you literally just need a sync agent, and that's optional too. But you just starting out, or you don't want to do the business side because nobody said you had to be the whole business team. Like if you just want to make music, get a sync agent. You need a sync agent and a booking agent. I don't think you need anything else. Management, you don't need that. Like honestly, and I talk about this in the book too, but the thing with management and no shots fired at managers in the room, but here we go. The thing with management is is that like they are like known or they usually have connections to get you a label deal that you don't need to be signing anyway, or they got connections to get you to a placement which you could get a sync agent for that, like, and they're going to take a percentage of your entire income. So you indie artist, you got to think like you major artists, maybe they need all them little pieces and stuff. Like you indie, you don't need all of that because you're gonna first of all probably have less money coming in. And you first of all, you don't need a management until you have money coming in. Like I see some artists try to get managers at the beginning to try to look like, oh, I got management, I'm important, take me serious, whatever, whoop de whoop. Nobody paying attention to that. If you don't got money coming in, what are they managing? Like, what really are they managing? You don't even have money coming in. But if you got money coming in, you need to watch how much of it you giving out. And percentages will definitely tack you down big time. So with management, they usually have connections to just one piece of something, but they're getting a cut of everything you make. And you just got to be careful with that.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly. I feel like sync is a really really special place to be because it's probably one of the last frontiers of just like last frontiers within the music industry that really prioritizes the music. And as an independent, you can do it solely without any other, you know, name it, manager, label, A&R, no exact like needs to be in your situation for you to go out and get your music license. You know what I mean? Like what Tamara was saying, you really, you need an agent, that's optional. Like if you got the hustle, you can go direct. You know what I mean? Like you can get in front of the people you need to get in front of. And I feel like there was always that veil, you know what I mean, that like as an independent artist, it feels like there's always something blocking you from really getting to the people that are going to quote unquote move the needle for you. Sync is really good because I think it's just one of those things where it just empowers you to like really take pride in being independent, and not to say like independent or die or whatever. It's just like there's just more capability and more at your fingertips that you're able to do. But I think to even what Psychosis point is just like you always feel like you need all of these other intangibles or you know all of these other alternatives to really push the needle for you and get you in front of the right people. But the thing is just once you know who the right people are on this side, it's easy to get in front of them, especially if your music is right for the spot. You know what I mean? It's like there's you don't need the fans, you don't need the streams, you don't need any of that stuff, you know what I mean, to really break through and monetize and be your own label, to be your own, bank, as Tamara was saying, it's just like you can fund your whole career off of just a sync. And the beautiful thing too is just like, man, like I know artists who have been in it for a while, like who've written for majors like, Lady Gaga, Akon, and Ariana Grande, and Trey Songz. Like, I know writers who have done stuff for all of that, and they're all in sync now, and they're all like I haven't looked back type stuff. You know what I mean? Because it's just a paradigm shift. Because I feel like the perception is like, if I get a placement with a major, or like if I get a songwriting credit, or if I make it to that place, and I'm talking from the songwriter angles, like if I write a song and Chris Brown gets it, like, for one, like the upfront might be the main piece of it, and you might get some of your writers, but at the end of the day, it's like that song is Chris Brown's. It's like you can't do anything with it after that. But with sync, it's just like, if I make a song and I pitch it to Nike, I could take that song and then go pitch it to Target or pitch it to Adidas, and they're basically, you're giving permission to major brands to use your music. You know what I mean? So it's just a whole nother like shift of I don't say a power dynamic, but it just puts you in a different place of leverage, and allows you to also like maintain and grow your value and equity, like as an independent artist. And once you learn the business more, you're able to kind of maneuver and structure different deals and do whatever kind of deal you want. You know what I mean? And still keep as much control as you want, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so that's why it's like it's such a different like mindset shift being on this side.
All right, very very dope. Okay, so let's shift to from sync being a strategy to actually how do we advise independent artists to get into this? Because you all have sounds, you have your space, you have your sound. Um, well, let's start with this question. Did for each of you, when you found sync, was it that the sound you were already doing already worked, so it was a natural fit, or did you have to do some adjusting? Did you change anything? Let's start with Cali. Like, this music you already making when you learned about sync was like, oh, I already got it, or was there some adjustment on your part? And then what was that like?
There was definitely some adjustment. I would say I was always kind of in the pop vein, genre wise, but I think one thing a lot of writers can probably identify with or relate to is I really enjoy writing in a wide array of genres. I think that was one thing that made it really hard for me as an artist to pick which road to go down, because I couldn't decide. I really enjoy writing in a bunch of different styles. And I think that's one thing, when getting into sync, maybe slowed me down just at first, because I was approaching everybody, supervisors and libraries and all these people. And I was like, I write in this genre and this genre and this genre and this genre. And they were like, great, but we don't really know what to go to you for. Like, what is your thing? So it took me a second to step back, and I really started to focus on, purely just kind of upbeat pop and R&B, and that was starting to get some traction in film and TV and everything. But then I realized that I was really interested in the ad space, and that required a different genre and a different style of writing. So I pivoted once again, and now I've landed in a spot that seems to be working really well for my sync career and everything. And I've leaned really hard into that genre and that sound, and I'm going to continue to milk it for everything it's worth, until the next pivot is required. But yeah, definitely takes some changing along the course of the journey, getting into sync and finding what works for you and what your sounds, work for the clients. So it's just, there's a little bit of experimentation, required at the beginning.
Nice. And Deraj, like you said, you were signed to a label. You were doing hip hop, but there was a faith based element to it. And so, was there a transition, and How did you find how to?
Wait,
Yeah, we can hear you. Did you hear my question?
I didn't. Sorry, it was cutting. Again, Eric. Sorry.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it might have been me. So, repeat.
So just for you were signed to a label and you were doing hip hop, but there was a faith-based element to it. So was there a transition into sync for you in terms of stylistically and topics and what you write about, and then how did you come to, you know, um, what you're presenting now?
Yeah, there was a shift, and it's weird because in one sense, like even when I was signed to the label, and I was kind of prioritizing the Christian hip hop, niche, if you will. It's explicit, and it's explicit in the nature of just like we're talking about themes of God and Jesus and all this other kind of stuff. Um, I said that really flippantly, like it's always like Jesus and all this other kind of stuff. Anyway, no, but you get what I'm saying. Like, but it's funny, even during that time and in that space, my music was a little bit of a hybrid. Like it still kind of had these broader themes to it. It still had my worldview, but I've always kind of been a, like, even just as a person, like I've always kind of tried to find the silver lining, even when we divide on like heavy things like faith. You know what I mean? Like that's a big topic. But my personality is always trying to figure out like how can we unify on the things that unify and find common ground and all that. And so I think that was always kind of there in my music, even when there were times where I might have been more explicit. But definitely when I went to the, prioritize making sync music, I did a lot of studying of just like what the market looked like, what songs, were winning, what brands were using what, and what I felt like I naturally could do and was excited to do and to create. And so, much like Cali Jay, like I'm a chameleon of sorts. Like I love doing, different flavors of music, and Sync gave me permission, I feel like, to really be me. Cause like, if you listen to all of my music, before I made this switch, like it's hard to like pin down, the genre and the consistency. And even when I really tried, but Sync just opened the floodgates and allowed me to just be me and just do, and just create. But at the same time too, like some of my older music, now that I'm in this space, like I've been able to do like different deal types where even my older material now is getting used in different capacities. So, it's just going to say like everything has a chance to be synced, but there are certain things that kind of win more than others. But that was what the shift looked
Very nice. All right, and Tamara, what about for you?
Uh, Hold up. Let me make sure I remember the question. It was about, did I had to change my style? Oh, nah. So I rap and I sing. Before I found sync, before I knew about sync, I would always like let the little fans that I did have, I would let them know I'm doing both. Like, don't be, because some people would comment like, oh, you should just rap. Oh, you should just sing. Oh, you should just do that. Nah, I'm doing all of it. You listen to which ones you like, and let's go. And I need to find enough fans so that I still make money from it, whatever I do. So then when I found sync, like, I just kept making more music. That's all I did. And then my music was already clean. Like I don't curse, so it was like, okay, y'all want what I already do? Let me just make some more. And when you start making so much music, you're not gonna want to keep making the same song. That's corny. Like you're gonna get tired of making music. So you need to, one, just experiment. You need to experiment with different producers so you can get different sounds. Like you never want to be. I always remember how there'll be artists like, I say for example Sierra, she would always work with Jazzy Faye. So then when she tried to work with another producer, they'd be like, nah, you should just stick with Jazzy Faye. This sound like, don't get known for no one sound. Like even if you're gonna say I'm a rapper or I do hip hop or I do, like, pick a genre or whatever if you're introducing yourself to music supervisors. But you don't have to make one sound of music. Like they need all of it. They need the old stuff, they need the new stuff, work with a bunch of different producers, work with different writers so you just can get feels for different writing styles. Like you just need to collaborate and find your sound. Then make more of that or make more of what's winning. But like don't limit yourself because you don't know what's you need one hit to like and you literally could feed your grandkids. So why would you like limit yourself to what's gonna be the hit? Like make all the music you can make, figure out what you like and make more of that.
So for somebody who's just starting or who's an independent artist, and maybe they are hip hop artists, and maybe they do explicit stuff or they've got a real underground sound or whatever, but they're interested in this, and we're telling them that you need sync is the thing because it can fund you. How do they find out whether how does an artist find out whether what they have is working or if they need to shift? Let me tomorrow, and then I want to switch to psychosis because I've been asking. But since you're on that, I want to get your thoughts.
So I honestly believe that every single song that any artist makes can be synced. There is a need. Like somebody sitting right now with a budget looking for your music. Like literally looking for all of it and they're willing to pay you for it. You just gotta find out which one need it. and when they need it, and you got to get it to them. If you make music that's not clean, that's cool. There's plenty of shows that like play programming that's cursing. HBO and all of them that allow curses. You might not get primetime spots, but there's other stuff. Like there's no limit. Like if that's the music you make it, because when you try to change it for sync, I'm not saying don't learn the rules of sync, but I say learn the rules and then break them, because you don't want your music to sound inauthentic. Like the music that you make is what's going to come out authentic. If you try to make it to get placed, that's usually the music that don't win, honestly. um but yeah, make it. Get an agent if you don't know where to go with it.
Good advice. Good advice. All right, Psychosis, let me back you up and talk about, for you, was there a transition? I mean, you were already doing hip hop, you stayed with the hip hop, and so was it, you just doing more of the same? Was there any shift at all for
First of all, let me answer that question by saying Tamara Bubble is my new favorite person on earth. Um, she's go she over here calling a thing and giving y'all the real game. So I really appreciate you, love. I agree with her. I literally never, actually a month ago was the first time I ever recorded a song specifically for sync, and I've had probably 7 or 8, like what you would call major syncs, which is not a lot compared to some people on the stage or in this room. But I've had thousands of what we call micro syncs, which is syncs in, influencer channels, YouTube's, video games. I've had thousands of those that also add up, and it's not just TV shows and films that you can get syncs on. So I want to emphasize that. There's some kid who has a YouTube channel about Fortnite with 100,000 subscribers, and he might play your music as his intro, and that might get you just as big as a TV placement. So it's not just TV and film; it's other ways to do it, and I've done a lot of those other ways, but I did not change my sound. Like I told you, when I got my very first call, which was from NBC, they were calling about a song that had already been out for like 2 or 3 years. And I thought it was a prank. What she was saying is, we've been conditioned to think like, oh, okay, it's been 2, 3 years, it's old. These timelines exist in our head. And I encourage artists to levitate and latch on to what is authentic about you. Real quick, uh, a lot of people may or may not know this about me. I've been working inside of the Cook County Jail for the last 6 years. And this morning, one of my homegirls who's in the audience, I'm glad she's here. Her name is Olive Blue. We were in the Cook County Jail earlier today in a maximum security in a recording studio that's in the basement of a jail. And I've been preaching to the guys down there who are recording their stories in their real life situation while they go into trial. Some of them fighting murders and drug cases. Some of them just innocent trying to get out. Whatever their situation is, I don't tell them, hey, bro, soften it up and make it, Disney 11. No, tell your story from where you are, but here's how you can, think about it from a business perspective. Think about it from a broad perspective of not just who's in front of you, but where you can go. But tell that story from where you at, because they want to hear it from where you at. They don't want to hear you sounding like somebody else. They want to hear your story from where you're at. Certain companies or placements might ask you to do this and that, but what I found is what they like is I'm giving them who I really am, and that's.
Can I piggyback off what Psychosis just said? Because I do get briefs that's like I said, I make clean hip hop. I be getting stuff like, yo, you got any raunchy, anything dirty, like something with a whole lot of curses, like just, and I'm like, oh, okay, I need everything out here. That's why I
real?
say, like, don't change your sound. You just need to get an agent that gets the placements in the types of shows that your music fits, and then they'll work it for you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. This is awesome. All right. We want to talk about the actual pitching process. We want to talk about libraries, agencies, direct pitching, etc. Before I shift into that, I'll take a few minutes to take a few questions, maybe like 3 or 4. So if anybody has questions, raise your hand now, and then we're going to shut it down probably like right at 9, um, and then continue on to the next part, and then do another wave of questions, kind of at the end. And so I got a couple people up, and I'll bring you to the stage. Make sure your mic is muted when you come to the stage, please.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Hey, Danae, did I pronounce that right?
Denia,
Danae?
yes. So I just wanted
Denia.
to come here real quick and say hi to Tamara because I've actually interviewed her a couple of times in my radio show. I just want to say hi, proud of
Hey.
you, Queen.
Oh, thank you for tuning in.
Definitely, it's just dope to be able to see what you're doing. Because I remember when I first heard PSA, I already knew that you was going high. There was no question about that then.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate that.
That was really dope.
Yeah, definitely gotta have you back on. So I'm gonna definitely reconnect with you for sure. But
Okay,
keep
bet.
doing your
Let me
thing,
know.
and much love to everyone that's on this panel. Y'all are phenomenal. I followed everyone. I'll make sure to support and show some love.
We all appreciate that. Thank you so much, Danae. You said it, but I'm sorry if I didn't catch
Deny
your
it's
first
alright.
name.
No worries.
Denia. Yes. Thank you very much. All right, Dream Tonic, we got you. What's going on?
How's it going? This room is awesome. Thank you so much for hosting. Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
very, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so this question is kind of geared towards Tamara, and you guys also might answer this in the second hour as well. But in terms of sync agents, so I have my music sitting in a variety of sync agencies and music libraries, but I'm kind of thinking, the music kind of filters like nobody's necessarily actively pitching my sound and what I have to offer. So, in terms of sync agents, like, is there a person that you can go to that's gonna like target your sound and where is it gonna fit and help you kind of target that in turn, as opposed to sitting in a sync agency or library? Does that make sense?
I'm not sure that I'm following the question. So you're saying you have music with several different sync agencies and you feel like they're not pitching it?
Yeah, I mean, well, not
What?
necessarily
Okay.
not pitching it, but I'm just wondering, especially like with libraries, there might be too many songs in there that, you know.
So there's never too many songs. I was getting ready to tell you if you're concerned that they're not pitching it, you need to make more music and
Right.
give them
Yeah.
more music to pitch, give them more music to work. Like
Right.
at a point, it's going to bubble over where you got 300 songs sitting out there. Somebody's going to need to use one of them. Then somebody's going to
Right.
use another
Yeah.
one. Or somebody's going to use the same one 100 times. And then they don't got to use the other 299 because you're going to eat off that one. Keep making more music. I said this in the book too. Like, if you're concerned about your placements not landing, you need to make more music. The worry will start to go away because the placement's going to start coming in. Keep making more music. And two, collaborate. Like, so some people when they indie artists, they feel like they got to do everything themselves, and so they're gonna make the song, they're gonna rap, they're gonna write, they're gonna produce, they're gonna mix, that's gonna take too long. You collaborate with somebody, you did a verse, and now you in on that song, and all the collaborators gonna help pitch it and work it. So I talk about this in the book, like network, collaborate, get more songs, do more more music, make more money. That's what we're
Right.
doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And I've written about 100 songs in the past year with a variety of collaborators that I've been, you know, joining teams with, and I feel a little overwhelmed, like, where do I put all these? I feel like I need help finding the right homes, the right agencies for them. So is that thing
So
like
that's
a
I feel like you
dedicated
should
agent?
experiment with agencies too. Like have
Yeah.
some songs over here, some over there, and then the ones that start to get you placements, give them more music.
Yeah.
And then if they're getting you all the placements, then you could take your songs from the other ones and give your entire catalog to them. But I never would do that. I would,
Yeah.
you don't have to keep all your eggs in one basket. Just like let them exploit your sound. It takes a while. I'm an agent myself. I know it takes a while to get the music, get the artists that I rep out there. Um, because it depends on the brief that come in. It's not that they're not pitching it, it's that it needs to fit the brief that comes in, or if they're doing a blast, then they can just announce here's a new song from this artist or whatever. But that's not going to be as effective as a brief, because when they send out a brief, the music supervisor is looking for this right now. This is hot ticket item. So just make more music and put it with as many different agents until something starts to click, until something starts to tick. Even when I was saying experiment with your sound, when you find the genre that's making you the money, then make more in that genre because it just makes sense.
It sometimes sounds
Thank you.
counterintuitive, Kristen, because you have a block of music and you want to get that block of music placed, and you won't. Sometimes we don't feel like successful until that thing has found a home, but we've written those songs, and but it's still finding the right relationship, finding the right agency. It may not be one, right? It may be a whole collection of different ones. Some work for one style, some work for other things, some have access to other opportunities. And so what Tamara's saying is the actual solution to how do I get these 100 place is right 100 more, and make sure all of them are somewhere. Make sure they're all pitched somewhere, pitched to multiple places, without putting the burden on yourself that if I put it with this library or this agency, then it has to land or it has to work, because you don't know if that placement for that particular one is going to come now, next year, 5 years from now. It may take a while, but branding is also a thing in sync. So part of, like, even someone like Tamara, sometimes there are placements that she's going to get because people love the music, and there's placements that people are going to pay attention to the music because they're looking for her, because she also has a brand and has been out there and people know her name. And so if those 100 are out working for you, they're also establishing who you are in your name. And even if the big hit doesn't happen until the second batch of 100, they're like, well, who was that? Who made that song? Who got the placement during Tyler? Well, what else is out there? Now, all that other 199 have a chance to now start working, or maybe they didn't have the chance before. And so, that's
On
part of the
top of
branding
that,
effect.
add to what you said, like you wrote 100 songs, you write 100 more. Trust me, you're a better songwriter now. Like to run through that many songs, you are learning something, and that's why I say collaborate too, because you just learn new words. Like you don't even be realizing like the experience and exposure of working with different producers, different sounds, different techniques. Like just make more music.
Awesome.
Thank you. And Jesse, what's going on, Jesse?
Hey, Eric, Tamara.
Hey, hey, hey.
Nice to see you. Hey. So, my question, I get this from a lot of artists. When an artist is focused solely on sync, right? A lot of times they'll hold for songs for sync, and there's two schools of thought. There's one, hold it for placements while you're shopping or while your agent is shopping, and the other thought is release everything. And I just wanted to know, like, across the panel, where do you guys fall? Do you think people should release everything they make, hold something, and if they are to release, how often?
I actually would like to hear the panel's different opinion on this, or just hear, because everybody here releases, and they probably have different release strategies. So whoever wants to jump in.
I think we're both ladies first. Go ahead, Callie.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so this is something that I have had to figure out as I've gone on my sync journey. Like I mentioned earlier, I do write in a lot of different genres, and I do have my main genre. But I write in other genres as well. So the Cali Jay brand that has been developed for sync has a sound, obviously. And I'm not going to just release all of my sync music under that name, because then it's going to kind of confuse and muddy the waters in terms of what my brand is under Cali Jay. I do have other aliases or pseudonym names that I release other music under. But generally, I don't release a song unless it's been placed, because you can kind of time the release of the song with the placement, and you can hopefully grab some streams from that, and you can cross promote and everything, like, hey, my new single's coming out, it just landed a spot on this song, and it just helps boost the visibility of the song and everything. So I generally try to hold off on releasing in conjunction with placements. I probably only release a song every 6 weeks. I make sure it's consistent with the brand and the name I'm releasing it under. And then all my other, 100 songs I do a year, I just tuck them away and I save them to release if they get.
Yeah, I second what Callie was saying. I think it kind of depends on your artist strategy, like, you know, what you want to put front facing. I definitely, agree. If you got a, placement that you got enough lead time to know when this thing is going to drop, then timing a release around that is a great idea. I do a lot of stuff as well in the micro sync space. So typically, if I put something front facing, then it already has a home somewhere, and there's probably a lot of smaller syncs that are coming. So it's the equivalent of releasing it around, a placement, even though there's kind of smaller placements. But
Can I
it's
can I just expound just to get clarity on that, because that's actually an interesting. So if you have something with, and I think you've talked in the past about having music with like Music Bed and getting micro syncs through them. If you submit something to Music Bed, do you release it at the time you submit, or do you wait till stuff starts coming in back from them?
whenever it goes live, I make sure I have it up like maybe a little bit before then, because as soon as it goes live on their website, it's accessible. You know what I mean? And so there's just opportunities that are there on the onset. And so, case in point, like the another alias that I have is Sunny O, and so it's a different flavor than a Deraj brand. It's kind of this alt R&B, you know, new age vintage hip hop kind of thing. And our lead single on that, Upside Down, it's got over like 500,000 streams, but that's all been, because of sync. You know what I mean? And a good majority of that has come from, the micro sync space. And it's just one of those things. Is like you want to make sure the music is available when it's time for a placement to roll out or whatever. Because I've been on the back end of that where I didn't have the music out and I kind of missed the window of when the particular campaign was going, and it's just like, dag, I didn't capitalize on it. But it's all a learning experience. But I do think it just kind of goes around your artist strategy, like what feels right, to go front facing, and then the timing around place.
Awesome, Mike. Tamara or Psychosis want to add to this?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Me, in this space, I'm not yet somebody who primarily focuses or just writes for sync, although I've had some sync placements. And I'm primarily still a front facing artist that's looking to take what I'm doing. Tamara said this earlier about, find out the rules and break them. And I really want to change the narrative of what is even acceptable as sync and what music supervisors and people look for, especially in the genre of hip hop, because I think it's kind of put in a box, and I want to help expand it. So I try to show that some of these songs that are on an album are also syncable, and they weren't necessarily written for sync, but they're on an album and syncable. So also wanted to say this. I remember about today being my Clubhouse birthday. Deraj, how long ago was it when you announced that you were leaving your job? If you don't mind me asking, real quick.
That was what was it? I left my job April 30th.
I remember being in a room when you announced that, and I want you to know that I'm leaving my job this Friday. And you announcing that you were able to do that from sync actually gave me the confidence to say, you know what, I think I probably can too,
Yeah,
as well as the other
man.
things I got going. And
That's
I want I
awesome.
want everybody in the room to know that that's not cap. That's for real. Like, I've watched you and Eric and what y'all have done, and everybody on this panel tomorrow, everybody what they've done. But I also know what I'm capable of, and I'm going. If I believe in me and I believe in what I can do, why wouldn't I be happier? Y'all heard me earlier say I work in the maximum security, and even though it's a jail, the guys there, they're so focused and really, really want to do it. But you work under this circumstance and administration. I don't even have my phone 8 hours a day. You dealing with sync, you getting emails, you getting texts, you getting all these other things, and I'm like, why am I limiting myself to what I actually can do? Even though I know I'm good, I know I've had some placements, I know I got some stuff coming. Um, Sync is of all of the things that have happened, Sync is the first thing that made me believe, you know what, you actually can make a living off of this path. You might not ever be a superstar, you might not be famous. Moms may or may not get that Rolls Royce. We'll see about it. I ain't told her yet, but you can make a living out of this space and then buoy yourself up. Even if it's not full time, buoy yourself up with some other things, and at least you could be happy doing what you want to do. So I want to let you know that, Deraj, but I also want to let everybody listening know that's how much all of us believe in sync. That we've been uh, put enough experience. You heard all of us strike out in different ways. Deraj was signed. Tamara was shooting a lot of shots. I was shooting a lot of shots. All of us were working really, really hard, making a lot of music. And sync is the first time we'll be like, no, I can do this.
I was wondering why you had the balloon on your avatar. I guess we celebrate. Now I get it now. I see what you're doing,
Man, I didn't know,
man.
but today's my Clubhouse anniversary, so it's full circle, man.
Yeah,
I get to
man.
tell you on my Clubhouse anniversary. You know, I usually tell you I'm gonna be like you when I grow up, bro.
Nah,
So
chill, bro, man. Bro, I'm so excited for you, man. Like, I know your journey. Like, I respect you highly, man. But to even get to know you more, and even we kicked it at Durango, and just kind of seeing your heart over the years, man. I'm super excited for this like next place for you, dude. You already been killing it. It's gonna be, you're gonna be out of here.
I appreciate it, bro, man. I'm hoping the best for all of us and for everybody in the room. Like I really want y'all to understand. Don't be intimidated. Like we all regular people. You know what I'm saying? It's not that version of the music industry we all thought. We all regular people. Figured out a formula. Figure out a path. And it's a lot of super tremendously talented people that just never got a shot. You know, I think this is your way to get here. So soak up.
Love it, love it. Anything you wanted to add, Tamara, to that?
Yeah, so the first placement that I ever got before I even knew what sync was somebody found a song. They found me on Twitter. They like music that I had released already. I just want to say, if you're an indie artist, remember that you could do whatever you want. Like, it's your world. Like, make enough music where you can drop songs you want to just because you feel like it. Because that's what I do. Like, you don't have to have a placement. If I like the song and I want y'all to hear it, I'm putting it out. Because I could take it down if I get a placement, re-release it. I could do whatever I want to. I could put it on an EP and put it out with that. Like, oh, let me tell you this example. So I talk about this in the book. Lizzo, like, nobody was checking for Lizzo like on a mainstream level. She had a 2-year-old song that got a placement. It was released already. It got a placement in a Netflix movie. Streams jump. The label she had an album out that nobody was like, she got placements. Like, this is how she came to where she was anyway before she really popped. But um after that placement, it took off. The album that she had put out wasn't doing very well. The label re-released the album and put that 2-year-old song on it and called it the deluxe version. If labels can move like that, why you as an indie artist can't do that? Why you can't re-strategize the releases that you've already had once it gets a placement? Like, sometimes they're going to discover your music because it's out there. I've gotten placements because they heard the song on YouTube or they heard it on Spotify. It was already released. So, like, if you try to hold on to it until it gets a placement, that's cool. I talk about that in the book as a strategy. But then there's also, you need to have enough music where you can put some of it out too. If you plan on making hundreds of songs, you don't want to die and have, oh, I got 5,000 songs on my laptop, nobody heard. Nah, I'm putting some of it out. I'm putting out whatever I want to put out, and I'm gonna just make more of it. So do that. Release it how you want to.
Love it, love it. Thank you for that awesome question, Jesse.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone.
So let's talk now about actually pitching. We've alluded to some of these things, but we've shared in this room before. There's lots of different ways to get placements. Coaches has talked about micro things. I'm going to focus on the big three that we always talk about, which is music libraries, sync agencies, or pitching direct to supervisors. And Deraj, since I know you also teach some on this, and you've taught it here, do you mind doing a quick overview of just those three for the room and kind of what they are and what separates them? Kind of put you on the spot for that.
Yeah. So the big three: supervisors, agents, music library. So music supervisors are kind of the top tier. Like, these are the people that are the middleman between you and the production studios who need your music, that place it in a TV show, ad, trailer, whatever. The music supervisor's role is to select music, present those options to the production company or director, and they also not just select music, but they are also responsible for admin, the legal, the negotiation. So their job is really, really important when it comes to selecting, vetting, and finding music that they can clear to use, for any production or TV show, commercial that I mentioned. Licensing agents are kind of those who represent music. So they will take your music and pitch it to a supervisor, music supervisor. These relationships are really important because agents typically have a large network of supervisors that they'll pitch your music out to. So you don't have to, create all of those relationships if you don't want to. Supervisors trust agents because agents, their role is to kind of do some of that pre-vetting and clearing and making sure the music is safe to use and clearable for production. They can also negotiate on your behalf, for placements that are pending. And then music libraries are, something similar to what an agency is. They focus on a lot of volume of music. The deal types look a little different and sometimes even similar to what an agency is, and they function pretty similar to what an agency does. But they're kind of prioritizing, the music in a way where it's volume based. It's like they just have a lot and lot of music to choose from. And so supervisors may also, use a music library for, various needs. So hopefully that was a good explanation there. You can clean it up by missing.
Nah, nah, dope. I appreciate it. Very cool. All right, so just uh, let me throw out for all of you, like, what is the main? Is there a main strategy for any of you in terms of do you lean, whether now or when you started, more towards libraries, agencies, or direct pitching? Let's start with Tamara.
So I would say you as an indie artist should do all of the above. So libraries I don't dabble in, and I'm gonna tell you this. I'll tell you why. So, I know the micro syncs are cool, and if you have like a lot of production music, I think a lot of composers typically work with libraries because they can get them, a ton of beats. Like, I hope they give in throwaway beats or beats that they don't really think could get placements. But I really advise producers to like collaborate with songwriters and collaborate with vocalists, collaborate with artists, and turn those beats into songs. Because so there's three levels. When a music supervisor has an unlimited budget, they're gonna get the Bruno Mars, they're gonna get the Michael Jackson, they're gonna get the major artists. When they don't got as much money, they coming to us. So we need to be ready to get our money. When they can't come to us, they go to libraries. And now libraries have so much competition, like they have stepped up their quality. And the stuff that I hear coming out of libraries could be really getting like big ticket sinks. But they sitting in libraries and they're getting placements. It's cool, money is money. But I mean, if you get one big sink, that'll take care of like 500 of them library placements. So I think, if you just got extra music like that and you want to put it to libraries, cool. But I honestly think you need to make every single song that you have as far as instrumentals a full vocal version so that you can pitch it through agents and get higher ticket sinks.
Very, very cool. Very dope. Anybody want to jump in? What's your Cali? What's your strategy? Libraries, agencies, direct pitching. What are you doing mostly?
I would say when I first got started, I was definitely working more with libraries, trying to get my feet under me and everything, figure out the business. And then as I've, grown and leveled up a bit, I've definitely I've kind of stopped working with libraries and I'm focusing more on agencies and building supervisor relationships. I actually just landed a Comcast spot today, direct to supervisor, which was exciting. And then I'm also now working with direct to ad agencies as well. So definitely trying to go more of the direct route. But yeah, I mean, I got my start in libraries and it definitely helped, me get started. But yeah, I would put more emphasis on agencies and supervisors.
Dope. Deraj or Psychosis? Any thoughts there for you each personally?
Me, I've probably I started like most people, probably mostly in libraries. I've recently, I know you guys talk about, and the word we haven't mentioned as much tonight as usually in this room is relationships. The director to music supervisors, direct pitching is probably something you do more once you have those relationships. I would say at this point, with sync reps, it's like the same thing. The agents, the more they know you, the more you know them, the more they know their catalog, the better their relationship seems to be. The more likely you are to get, be top of mind when they're thinking about a new brief that they're getting. So I've done all three, but majority of my success to this point has actually been through libraries. So I'm looking, to kind of pivot to the more lucrative direct to pitching and working through.
Love it, love it. And go ahead, Deraj.
Yeah. I'm kind of all of the above as well. I we pitched directly. Actually, there was a sync that came in today was direct through a supervisor. We did a brief. What was it last week? Direct to supervisor, but I also have some agents that I work with, and that is where I prioritize. And on the library side, there's certain ones that my main deal if I'm working on a library is usually like a music bed. It's probably the the only one that I like, and how they structure their deals a little bit more. Um, what's the word I'm looking for? It works for what for where I'm going and where we started and stuff like that. But and I like too. They kind of have a hybrid of micro sync as well as direct pitching. So those are kind of the three that I pick, but I do prioritize the supervisor and agency route.
Nice. And just for the room, I mean, this is an indie artist discussion, and so I usually will talk about indie artists are kind of perfect for sync agencies, especially if you're not doing direct pitching. I primarily my start was all through libraries, kind of like Cali. I as I got more relationships, as I got more experience, I started um, transitioning into more direct. I've never really had the sync agency because I've not been an artist. I may be top lining my own music, but I might be writing with somebody else or producing or doing, I'm kind of all over the place. And so on a bunch of different songs, I could play any particular role. So I've never pitched myself as the artist or locked in with an artist like pitching this. So I've never kind of partnered with the sync agent. It went from music libraries to direct. So depending on kind of who you are, creatively or how you're presenting yourself, you might strategize different, but I will say, I advise any independent artist, you know, definitely try to partner with a sync agent first. I say sync agent first because while it might be natural to say, well, why everybody should just do direct pitching, we've had so many conversations in this room with supervisors who, the more you talk to them, the more you find out sometimes how challenging it is to establish that initial relationship if you don't have, not impossible, just challenging. And so everyone has said that they have inboxes filled with music that they have not, that they want to get to, they have a genuine desire to get to but haven't gotten to. And so it's for we've heard it over and over and over that when it's midnight and they have to find this song right now, they're going to go to the five or six people that they've always gone to. That could be two or three sync agents. They might pull from a couple of libraries. They might have a composer friend that they always reach out to. But everybody's got their circle that they pull from, and trying, I think the long term strategy for everybody I recommend is build your relationships, conferences, Zoom calls, chats, network, so that and brand yourself so that people know you. I get a lot of direct briefs now, but you want to, that's something you want to build up and build towards. But sync agent has that relationship, and you can, if you have the songs, you can be putting those songs to work for you right now while you're working on building those relationships. So I just think from an expectation perspective, um, as an artist, don't feel like, oh, I don't want that third party, I don't want that, represent, I just want to kind of get all the bread for myself. Personally recommend that as kind of a long term play. Any maybe somebody might differ. Any differing thoughts on that, or just
Yeah, I gotta disagree with that one. Just because, I mean, you're gonna make music till you die, right? 10 years from now, you're gonna have built some of them relationships that it might have took 5 years. Like it's been like sometimes it'll be 3 years later, and I'll hear back from the music supervisor. But I've been emailing them every month. Like it just takes time. You like ticking, you like hitting the ice pick, you like sculpting the ice structure with the pick. You just gotta keep making music and keep pitching, and it's gonna crack through. It's impossible not to. Yo, you got hundreds of songs, something gonna pop, and you just need one of them to take off. So you need to do it direct. Yeah, you have agents. I like when I my first placements was for me. And I knew then, like, yo, I could really, really do this. And then another sync agent was like, you already getting placements, but why don't you have the agents help you? And that's why I got agents. It wasn't because I wanted to get them or that I thought I needed them. It was that, oh yeah, I can let them work for me too. Like, and that's why I say do all of the above. The library thing, the only reason I'm against that, because I think you want to work smarter. Like, if you get one big placement and it took you all year to get it, you still could eat from that for the whole year. Like, so you don't have to focus on getting a bunch of little smaller ones. You need to focus on getting like one big one, two big ones that will take care of you for the year. If you indie artist, like, I don't know. I think you definitely need to be doing direct. It's gonna take a while to build, but you want to be that fifth or sixth or seventh person that the music supervisor reach out to late at night. You gotta start now.
Nah, go ahead, Deraj.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do think it's good to like. I think once you understand how to engage, the right people, then it starts to become like you gain you learn as you go. You know what I mean? It's like you won't learn if you don't put yourself out there. So I do think understanding the need, understand how to engage them early on, so that you can get to a place of, all right, now, some of these, it's not intimidating to send, an email out to a supervisor, um, because you've already built that muscle and you've gotten past that layer. And then I think too, is like another perspective I'll bring into it, like even with the micro sync stuff, like one of the things I feel like is unique, because I feel like the micro sync stuff, when it comes to like a music bed or art list, or like some of these companies versus maybe some of the libraries that almost kind of function like a publisher, where you're probably not even seeing anything on the front end. It might be all back end, or if it is something on the front end, it's very small, because they're kind of like a little bit of a divide when it comes to like what a micro sync agency does, like a music bed, versus like a publisher, or not a publisher, but like a library that almost kind of functions like a publisher. Because like even with a music bed, there's deals where you're still keeping everything, but I've had like some consistent 5-figure months, and they're one of the few that pay out monthly. You know what I mean? And so it's one of those things where I've been able to pitch direct, have some stuff with an agent, but also even while I'm waiting for the big syncs, I've gotten like some sustainable, consistent, money that's been like, all right, like this is something that I can really take, reinvest, and scale up on. So it's one of those things. Is like, that's why I feel like the micro sync space, and the micro sync space is different, because not all micro sync agencies are built the same. Because there's some deals I wouldn't do with certain micro sync agencies, and there's some libraries that I like. I had a library approach me today, and the deal type didn't make sense. I didn't want to give up my master and publishing ownership without anything up front, anything. So I just don't do some of those deals anymore. But the music bed side is a little different. But even that, I tread a little differently now, as like there's more to the Deraj brand now, where it's just like, all right, if I'm trying to position myself a certain way, I may not want to invest all of my catalog into something that might on the front end like it's devaluing, if I'm trying to get to it and scale to a different place. But on set, like those micro sync companies are, some of them positioned a little bit differently than like a traditional library.
Exactly. Yeah. And I actually, I mean, microsinks are new. I actually don't really speak of them as libraries because they are so new and they're almost like their own category. The deals are totally different than what a traditional, APM or Extreme or Crucial or some of these other ones that may operate in more of a traditional sense. So they're almost a category all to themselves that's been birthed out of the influencer economy. Um, did I just we just lose a bunch? What happened?
Yeah, it's like two people ducked out.
Yeah. They
Man, bro,
probably
what
lost
you
the
on?
connection.
Dang.
Right.
Control
Clubhouse
Cat
out
was
Go
cool,
back
bro.
up.
You just start kicking people out,
Right.
man. It's kind of
here.
sexist, bro. I don't know.
And it would
No,
be
it was
both
like
of
that.
Right, it would be both of
it's the
them.
it's only the ladies on stage, so now we look misogynistic.
Yeah, Eric pressed the button, bro.
Like,
Eric.
That is crazy. Yeah, but it's like them and then like 8 other people dropped out at the same time. So maybe something happened with the app. That was kind of weird. So hopefully they'll find their way back, or they'll back channel if they're having an issue. Um, really, 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 really cool. Actually, I'm gonna save because somebody asked a question and it was actually for Cali. So I'm gonna wait to. Oh, yeah, they just said their server. I got a message from um Clubhouse that the servers are struggling, and so that's probably partly what happened. Too many people on the app. All right, well, let's let me
You broke Clubhouse.
yeah, we broke Clubhouse. I'm gonna put that in the bio.
There it is.
Broke Clubhouse. Um, this okay, cool. Well, while we wait for them to come back, because I definitely want to talk about this, but it's cool just to even just getting the difference between the direct pitching, not the direct, I mean the micro syncs and the libraries, because they do operate kind of separately or differently. And this whole well, I was saying the whole influencer economy is creating new business models. All right, Tamara's back, and we lost Tamara and Cali Jay. So, um, well, can you hear us, Tamara?
Yeah, that's so trippy. I thought it was like my internet. I didn't know what happened.
No, Clubhouse said something's going on with their servers, but it kicked you and I guess Cali out at the same time, and
They
Cali's
were
back.
listening in. They ain't like what we was saying. What had
Yeah, they
happened
were
was
conspiracy,
Yeah, that's it. It's y'all was
but
dripping
it
too
was
much
like because
sauce, man.
it was the women. They were
too
like, we gotta
much.
get the women out of off the stage. They didn't like that at
That
all.
was weird too. It dropped the only two ladies on stage. It's like, come on, yeah.
Like, hey, well, let's just kind of wrapping that up. And actually, tomorrow, I don't think we were. I actually agree with what you said. I don't think we were that different at all because I would not advise. I'm not saying don't pitch direct. I just think if you do direct, even though yours landed quickly, I think it's to have the expectation because relationships are so hard to have the expectation that you got to start feeding it now, but it may take longer. So while you're waiting, also have some the kind of sync agent relationship so that you can get some wins quicker. But you do got to start now because it's just going to take that much longer for those in general for those seeds to blossom.
Definitely. I want to say this too of why I guess I feel like I keep on targeting the whole library and the micro sync, and I really just am against indie artists signing anything that touches your publishing. Because I feel like they do the same work for you getting the placement. They should just be getting commission off the upfront. So I think a lot of artists, whether they do sync or not, when artists is doing regular, they'll take like a bad deal, like, oh, I'm just starting, let me sign this bad deal. No, don't get in them bad deals because then it's hard to get out of them. And like some of the stuff, it'd be like in perpetuity. They're gonna have the song forever. They get to keep the song. They get to control the master. Don't sign no deal with no publisher, no sync agent, no library that's touching your back end. Like, unless you're writing a custom song and you don't plan on owning it anyway, or something like that, something that's a special case, like you're creating it for a specific project. You don't have to start off taking bad deals because I keep saying this for a reason. You only need one hit to like sit down and grow old and be cool. You don't want to give away the hit. Like keep control of your songs. Don't be giving up that publishing. Yeah, that's
I I appreciate that. It's a it's I have we have this debate a lot. And I think as an indie artist, I think it's hard because one, and I don't understand the history of this, and I wish there was somebody who was from Sync could explain, but you've got these two entities that have grown up in existence and in a lot of ways now do a lot of the same things, but operate entirely differently. So you have sync agents now who tend to represent more artists and are just commission based, and you got these libraries, and almost every library deal I've seen has been they own control of the master. They have, they take them in most cases the entirety of the publishing, and at least a good percentage of probably half of the master, and a lot of from what I've seen, it's standard. And I have not advised people not to do this, especially because if the sync agency's primarily focuses artists, then you have a lot of other people that's not an immediate option unless they're just going the collaboration route. So if you're a composer or if you're doing, you're trying to find other tracks, I wouldn't tell somebody to not look at these things because if I'm I go to Atlanta and I see all these people, making trap beats and they are spending their days and nights trying to be on the next, Young Thug album or they're making 20 beats a day hoping to get that next hit on there, and they don't know that this is an option out here. But for most of those tracks, we working for them would be as in a production music library. But to Tamara's point, at the same time, they could be partnering with a sync artist and getting those tracks um, with a sync agent or a direct placement through somebody else's work or effort or pitching. And so I'm talking out loud, as I'm saying that, and I see that point. I just have not I've not been a strong minded on this thing. Don't do that, especially because while I've signed all these songs away, where I am in my career is because I signed lots and lots of deals, and for me, it was like getting on and getting access, and I didn't have in my mind then I did not have the option. I didn't even have the knowledge. I did not know sync agents existed until a few years ago. All I knew was music libraries. Like that was my introduction to sync libraries, trailers, all these other worlds, ad stuff, all that was like I was exposed to that just in the last couple of years. And so, you know, um, that's partly why I'm like, I'm not a don't do it because I did it and it helped me. But now that I know more options, I just like to share what all the options are. I
I'm a
see.
don't do it. No.
I'm not mad at
If
you.
you could, I say this real quick. No, I'm gonna say this real quick because like, if you got one song that the instrumental is worth $500 for a placement on the back end only or something like that, but if you get a vocalist on it, now somebody will pay you 50,000 for it just to use it for 3 months, and then you can get paid again. Like what? Like we're not even discussing this 500 verse, and all I gotta do is put vocals on it. Like that's in the discussion for me. That's why I say don't do it. Like, okay, I know what you're saying. Like you use it to get on, but that don't mean like people coming behind you that's learning about it got to do that route. Like if they learn from jump, oh, I make more making a full vocal song. Okay, I make beats. I'm gonna go collab now. I'm gonna go work with any artist. I said in my book, work with every artist, collab with everybody. Because then you know how wide your network is. You know how many sync agencies all them different artists are signed with and will introduce your music to them agencies. Even if you don't know where to start, if you just collaborate with a bunch of different people, they're gonna take your music to the avenues that it need to be, and it's gonna get it to the right ears. And then the right sync agent is gonna take it to the music supervisors. You don't gotta start with libraries because that's what happened. Like we're gonna tell these people what to do now so they don't gotta struggle. Like that's why I wrote my book so that I don't want y'all to struggle. Like we going to superstar. We ain't doing no libraries no more. That's how I feel.
I appreciate you. I
Hey,
totally
so
appreciate.
it's I got a question for you tomorrow, real quick, just for the people
Yeah.
listening. So I heard you say earlier, like, yo, if you make 100 songs, make 100 more. What do you say to artists that don't have a home studio that can't like you? Because you, of course, budget is a part of all of this, right?
Yeah.
So if I don't produce myself and I don't record myself,
Yep.
how do I compete and how do I do it?
Songwriter. You don't even gotta be in the same room. Zoom session. You in the song. Let somebody else record. Who got the setup? They recording. That's how we doing it. Like any way that you could think about it, be resourceful. You don't got no money? Cool. Write the song. Don't do the recording. Let the co-writer do it. And now you still in the songwriting, you still in the publishing, you still share, whatever y'all agree to share. At least if you got co-writers, the master fee or the mix fee, if y'all decide to split it, is gonna be a third of what it would have been.
I knew you had an answer. I'm sure somebody in the audience is like, bro, I'm broke. I don't know what she talking about. How could I
Yeah.
do it? So I'm glad you was able.
You can
Yeah. So in this case, um, what tomorrow, I'm not going to put words in my mouth, but your strategy is, some would say for music it should be um, quality over quantity, but because of the way you're talking, it's almost quantity over quality. It's like get the numbers up, get the more one of the things I think you say in your book? Get more lottery tickets. Every song is a lottery ticket. So the more you got, the better shot you got of winning. Would you say? Would you agree with that?
It's both. It's quantity and quality. So just make a lot of great music, and one of it's gonna get placed. One song is gonna take off. You're gonna notice, oh, this song's starting to get a lot of placements. Keep pitching that one until that one pop. Like pitch the other ones too, but you're just trying to get one where, oh, I don't gotta get up today and work if I don't feel like it. You trying to get to that point, or you trying to get to the point where you could quit. Like I quit during the pandemic because I was sitting pretty because I had so many songs. I ain't stopped making songs. I don't know which one gonna pop. I'm gonna keep making them till I find the one that pop.
Let-
All right, my back channel is going a little crazy. Let me read some of these questions that I got. All right, so Cali, somebody asked about pitching direct for ad agencies. They want to know if you've encountered, if you're doing direct pitches to agencies now, have you encountered anyone asking about errors and omissions insurance and saying that they can't work with independent artists unless they have a certain level of insurance, which is what I've also heard some agencies say. While some ad agencies say why they will work with a sync agent because they have insurance requirements. Have you encountered that in some of your um,
I've definitely heard that that's a thing. And I would actually like to get to the point where I can get that insurance. I know it's very expensive. I'd like to have more ad agencies and soups, in my roster before I invest in that. But yeah, I mean, up until this point, that hasn't been an issue for me. Knock on wood. But yeah, I know that is definitely a thing. And that's another thing too, guys. Like, there are so many different approaches to this industry that you ask one person, they're like, oh no, well, I'm not going to work with that person because they're not insured. You turn to the other person and they're like, yeah, I would absolutely license from that person. Sitting in panels at like the Durango conference or other music licensing conferences, you'll see a music supervisor up on stage that says, no, I won't license non-exclusive music. I don't want to deal with it. And then the next music supervisor on the panel says, I license non-exclusive music all the time. So don't worry, like, you're going to hear conflicting information all the time, and I know that that gets confusing, but you just need to like try the different methods and see which ones work for y'all and just keep hustling and you're going to get placed.
capital?
Can I
Good.
I want to say a little bit about the E&O insurance because I do have it because I have a sync agency and I'm repping artists. But I'm trying to remember if I had it before I even got the artist. But it's definitely in contracts. Like so, some of the commercials that I've placed, it's in the agreement that oh yeah, I'm warranting and repping that I have insurance. I do have it, but they put it in the agreements. Like they're covering themselves, and it's for good reason. Like they've been burned before. They're not just doing this for fun. But you can get like trailers don't require it, and trailers pay just as much as ads sometimes. TV doesn't require it, so go where you don't need it. Like you don't fight against the grain. Like go where the music fits and where you don't have to struggle to get it placed.
Awesome, awesome. All right, one other question. Someone is asking, this is Rose Gold is asking about um, just from as a panel and who's doing direct pitches, how are you finding your strategies for finding supervisor information? The person asking the question is saying that they've heard or found that people may be protective of that information. The agents may be protective of that information. So, how are y'all finding your direct supervisor info?
Building relationships. I think it's the more you connect with the right people, the right supervisor. I'll say the right, just connecting with supervisors in general. The more trust rapport you give, they'll start to seek you out and send you requests for music and briefs. And so that's kind of the easiest way to do it, and probably one of the only ways to do it, because from what I hear, a lot of supervisors don't like to for you to ask for briefs or to be put on the list or anything like that. It's a very trust kind of based thing. And so if they see the music is qualified and safe to use, and they you show yourself competent enough to kind of move in this space, and you show up and you're consistent, they'll start to keep you in mind. And it's, even to what, Tamara was saying, it's just like I've had supervisors who I've reached out to, on multiple occasions, and it doesn't happen until like months later. They're sending me a brief that they just remember that, I'm the hip hop guy. Like, let me pitch him over. He had good energy. You know what I mean? It's like people were, raving about the music or whatever. And so that's one of the easiest, and it's a probably better position to put yourself in, where you're not feeling like you're trying to, beg for whatever. It's just like I'm putting to work, I'm making myself available, and then now the trust has been, solidified, and they're reaching out.
Yeah, and I would say for me, my main approach to finding supervisors and getting on their lists and stuff has been to go to every music licensing conference or convention that I can find and pitching my music and talking to them and just getting that face to face, or even coming to events like this. It's like, we're all getting to hear each other's stories and connect and get to know each other. And I think, yeah, like Deraj was saying, it's all relationship based. But for me, the way I have developed those relationship based mainly has been by going to the conferences. And I might, pitch my music to a soup one conference, see him the next conference. He like maybe might remember me. By the third conference, he's like, oh my gosh, Cali Jay, yeah, here's my email. I'm going to add you to the list. So you definitely have to keep going. I don't think you can expect huge amounts of things to happen by going to one conference, but it's by keeping your face and your name in front of these people that allows them to, get to trust you and then start reaching.
Um, so I want to say something, and this actually isn't even in the book, so this is gonna be just free game. Like if you have no idea where to start, I feel like artists, you don't necessarily have to cast a wide net. Like your approach should just be targeted. So if you've heard of a website called TuneFind, TUNEFIND.com, you can go on there. If you think your music sounds like Beyonce, type Beyonce in there. Every placement that she's ever gotten is gonna pop up. It's going to tell you the show. It's going to tell you the song that used it. And if you click on the placement, it should have the music supervisor there. Then that music supervisor, go on Instagram. If your music sounds like that specific song that Beyonce made, go on Instagram, follow that music supervisor. They're gonna post when they do like a listening session over here, when they have a new TV show coming out. You can start to follow what projects they're working on. So when you finally somehow get their email address, or like sometimes you can find this information just online, the contact information, and you have a song just like what they've used in the show, then you can reach out and be like, I follow your work. I know what you're working on. Boom, I got you. You need this. Like, just be targeted. You don't got to reach 3,000 music supervisors today. You got to find the ones that need your music. You got to get your music to them. This is how you win quicker. Like, we're not taking the long route. Like, we trying to pop now.
I love it. I love it. So one other question that I had, and if you have a question or want to raise hands, it's already, we just got a few minutes left, but I've been getting more questions in the back channel. I actually forgot to turn hand raising back on in the last few minutes, but it's up now. So if you got a hand raising, I probably have time for like two or three raised hands, and then I will do I mean, ask this other back channel question. Actually, person who had the back channel raised his hand, so I'll just have him come up. Let's talk there, and one other there, and then that'll be it, and we'll close. We'll close with that. All right. So, De La Maz, we'll do you first. What's going on?
Hey, how y'all doing today? I definitely appreciate this talk so much, and all your experience and your stories, especially saying everything that I'm currently going through in the frustration period. So I'm hoping to see some success. Just started working with Eric. Um, I guess my big question, and I had sent this over to Eric as well, was there's a lot of people that, especially now, and in this kind of in this circle that I've been in with Control Camp and everything, there's a lot of people talking about, sync and how we should get into it and we need to get into it. And it's clear to me now. But like my biggest question is, what does the checks really look like? The good, the bad, what does it look like? I know that there's like the micro sync route, but then there's like the big checks from trailers, and what.
Anybody want to jump? Oh, that's it.
Yeah, it looked like exactly what you said. You might be able to buy a cup of coffee with one placement. Hopefully, a couple cups. You might be able to pay a light bill. You might be able to buy a new kitchen. You might be able to buy a car. You might be able to buy a house. This would all come from one placement. And so if you focus on the ones that pay the bigger ticket items, that's probably going to be your ads, your promos and trailers, right? But if you get like a featured placement in TV, those still could be like mid five figure ranges or like 20 to 30K. If it's like a feature use, like at the closing scene of a big show, it all depends on the budget that they have. And I think indie artists, if you plan on making a lot of music and you plan on getting a lot of placements, and you plan on being consistent, whatever budget they got, you just need to be flexible, especially if you're just starting, because they'll come back to you. They'll give you multiple syncs in the same show. They'll get, because you worked with them. I'm not saying like bend over backwards and don't get no money. I'm saying get your money until your song pops off, and then you raise your price.
Really dope. Good question. All right, let's keep it moving. I got three people on stage. I want to try to get to them before we shut down. Phonetic, what's going on?
So how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yep,
Loud
loud
and
and clear, my
clearly.
guy.
Not clear. You got it? All right. Yeah, so yeah, this is actually my first time speaking on Clubhouse, so thank you. Psychosis, I actually opened up for him like 2014. I don't know if you remember.
Of course, I
Um,
remember you, fam. I'm glad to see you.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Now the question is for pretty much everybody on stage. So, are there some commonalities that you find that supervisors like don't like some things that any feedback that you get that might be like, hey, um, the vocals need to be like this? Or are they more adamant on like mixing? Are they, more adamant on like the type of moves? Like, are you finding some common do's and don'ts as far as finding success with placing music? So, what are some like common do's and don'ts?
I think it's a great question, bro. I think um I've been quiet because I know, like, people like Tamara and Deraj that can give you a lot of info, and I'm gonna let them do that. Um, I think that the answer to your question also depends on what kind of sync you're looking for, because like a movie trailer, the mix is a very specific mix. You might be looking for an epic mix that builds up with drums, and you're gonna hear a lot of doom 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 doom. Cause you think like an action movie or a superhero movie in a movie trailer, and you're gonna hear certain sounds versus like a in picture during a TV show may not be as much distortion, or may not be as much strings and things. So I think that's definitely part of it. Where the music is being placed is gonna definitely guide. But of course, everybody wants high quality music, right? So they want everything to be mixed, mastered. They don't want a demo copy. They want it mixed, mastered. Sometimes they will ask for stems. Sometimes they'll take it, here's the WAV file. So it all depends on who you sending it to and exactly what kind of project that placement.
Appreciate appreciate that. I would also just add to that from my perspective, in terms of the one thing I've seen across the board that actually throws people off is actually not, um, from my perspective, it's not always really the music. It's really about how sometimes people approach them. People, I've heard more from the supervisors I talk to. I hear more complaints about somebody sending an email saying, "Hey, what's up? Can you check out my music?" Or sending DMs, DMing somebody just being like, "Hey, what's up?" and just waiting for a response back so you can get some engagement, and not necessarily kind of hitting people up in a professional way or in a way that acknowledges that I know you're busy and I know you got a whole bunch of people in your DMs, but I really do think I can solve a problem for you because I know you're working on this show and I've checked you out. And so, boom, you do a lot of hip hop. Here's what I got. And so, um, music supervisors really do have problems. They really do need to be hit up. But a lot of times, people hit them up don't know what their problem is. They just want to get on. And so it's just like, I don't even know what show you work on, but you're supervisor, so I'm just going to just send you some music. And so I think the number one thing is, like Tamara recommended TuneFind, using that, using IMDb Pro and some of these sites to find out who's actually working on something that sounds like what I have, and not who can help me, but really who can I help. I make music, and I know people out here are struggling. These supervisors, when they're calling at midnight, they are like desperate. They need to fill these holes. They're not just trying to help us. Like we're here, we're helping them. Like we're solving their problems. They've got a whole cast, crew, producers, ad agencies, brands that are like, yo, we got to wrap this movie tomorrow, the film tomorrow, and we need this music film. So if we can solve what they need, we're like lifesavers to them. They're happy to pay us for that. And so having that mindset of like, yo, who can I help, as opposed to who can put me on, I think is one of the biggest things that we can do to really get these relationships going. All right, Frenetic. Yeah, my pleasure. Appreciate that. Olive, got you up next. What's going on?
What's up, y'all? I just want to say thank you, first of all, for all this amazing information. It's pretty divine, the timing of all this, because I'm just kind of taking more control over myself as an artist and, splitting up from a certain management situation. My name is Olive Blue. I'm a singer-songwriter, and this is very new to me. So my question is, outside of making the music, what are other things that I should have ready just to kind of be over prepared for submitting my music, shopping it around? Like, what are other things that I should have ready on my end outside of just knowing what my IPI number is? Like, are there certain things that, I should just have ready?
Spreadsheets is more important than your music. If you have the best song in the world and they can't clear it, you're not gonna make no money from it. Your paperwork.
Yeah, I think too. Having stems ready. I've gotten to the habit of after any session that I do with if I'm working with a producer and engineer, whenever we finish that song, to make it a point to get all the stems, because I've had certain deals not go through, or not even deals go through, but we couldn't even get a song uploaded, to a particular agency just because we didn't have all of the stems. And also too, it just makes it a hassle trying to like get all that stuff on the back end if they are requesting stems, because the business moves so fast. And so if you find yourself in a place where you got a placement that's like ready to go, and they're asking for stems, and now you got to go back to find a producer who produced a track, maybe a couple years ago, and like I've had producers almost like lose files and stuff like that. So it's just like at the end of a session, just make sure like it's just a non-negotiable. Like we need stems to be packaged up when you're sending over, final files, instrumentals, and all that other kind of.
And I would also say, oh, sorry. I would also say on top of, the split sheets are obviously really important. The stems are really important, but it's also just how quickly we respond to supervisors or agencies or any of that. I don't know what y'all's experiences have been, but at least for me, it always feels like when an agency or a supervisor reaches out to me, it's like it's always a musical emergency. They need this information and they need it now. They need the stems and they need them now. Like, you can't really take a day or two to respond. You can't, you got to be on it. You got to be checking your email, responding to your texts and your phone calls and everything, and just like be really responsive and helpful to these guys. That's what's going to work.
Yeah, I literally, since we've been on here, I have an email sitting in my inbox that says urgent for request. So
Awesome.
Go
Thanks
ahead and
for
forward it to me, big bro. I'll be checking it out for you. um, no, I want to say, first of all, I mentioned earlier, so it's Olive. Shout out to Olive. She's one of the instructors in that program at the jail, and she's doing amazing work and an amazing singer songwriter. But other thing I would add to what we said, Olive, is for me is lyrics. I handwrite my lyrics still on notebook paper, and once I get in the studio, I generally just leave the notebook or the sheet somewhere. So for me, I always have to force myself to go back and like retype up the lyrics the way I wrote them. Sometimes it's a small thing like that because they'll ask for that immediately as well with the stems, with the different file types. A lot of sync agents want, WAV or AIFF and not the MP3. So it's having the different file types or having the stems like Deraj said, having the split sheets like Tamara said, but also some very simple like lyrics. You got to,
Hey, Psychosis, let me find out you still got the composition book from like
bro.
elementary school.
Listen,
You penning? You
I told you I was freestyling on the lunchroom with Lupe Fiasco in the Wu Tang leather jacket, bro. I don't know what else you need to know about me to know I still got all of the old.
Not mad at that at all. Thank you, Olive, for the question. It was really, really good.
Thank you, guys.
All right, last question from Richard. What's going on?
What's going on, Eric? Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Control Camp, for holding the space. Thank you all for giving out this wealth of information. From all my times coming to Control Camp, and look, I'm not going to lie and say I've been to every single minute, but one thing I never hear about is, do any of you have management? Cause I'm not the talent. I work with two artists, but I wouldn't even call myself a manager. I feel like it's more like business consulting where I get a lot of game and I read and do my own research to kind of let them be the creators and do everything they need to do, but still like bring them the wealth of knowledge they need. So I was curious if you all have any business advisors or like management, or is it just
So we did touch on this during the first hour, and we were, especially from the indie perspective, because I asked everybody on the stage. So everyone on the stage, pretty much, and it's kind of the key point of this room is that they all have gotten their streams, their fan base, kind of without management, without label, without PR, without promo, and to them, it's actually been an advantage because they haven't they're not you know, I think somebody on the panel did say, for the average artist, when you're at a place where are dealing with major situations and you got this major money coming in, and you probably need to have somebody help kind of manage that situation. But an independent artist can, if they're about their business, they can do a lot on their own, and that these are four examples of people who have done it with that. So we did touch on that during the first half, that as a strategy. I mean, I think you have to know what kind of artist you are, and if you're an artist that wants and needs to kind of focus on the creative, and you've got somebody you can trust in your corner. But we don't want to promote that as the needed route. And these, everybody on the stage is kind of, is doing it. They're handling their business. They're reaching out directly to. They're doing pitching, and they're writing, and it's a juggling act. But that's you know that's that's how it's working.
One thing I'll say too, like, I think one of the other reasons that I guess management is kind of one of those things where it's just like doing this space, you may not necessarily need a manager because like I found that if you just ask, better questions, a lot of people are willing to kind of put you on game, because like I've learned a lot of things just from like collaborating with other people and just butting up against stuff that I just didn't know about, and I'll just ask the question, and you end up getting put in the right conversations and connecting the dots and kind of creating your own inroads where you know traditional management might create something like that, but in a space it's just like if you what I found, like a lot of people are willing and open to kind of share. Not everybody, kind of got to read the room, everybody's different, but in my experience, if I've had a question, people just genuinely help me, and I've gotten people who just alley-oop me other relationships and opportunities based on the relationship, showing up, doing good work, like just being present, and meeting the need, when it's time. So that like people see like, yo, this guy's serious, and he's on to something. You know what I mean? It's like people want to see other people win, sometimes, and so you can kind of just ask questions, and just kind of cooperate and figure out how to maneuver in this space. Um, which kind of sometimes like just circumvents the need for some of those more traditional routes to just kind of get.
So yeah, but appreciate the question, Richard. Thanks, and you're always kind of coming through and supporting, so we appreciate you. All right, so appreciate y'all for hanging in. We were about a little bit over, but I want to make sure I give time to all the panelists to just thank them for even spending this time sharing this information.